Yo, what's up guys? In this week's video, I'm going to show y'all how to make a floating fantasy island with a deep cave filled with unknown adventures. Alright, let's get started. I started off with this thing I got off of Amazon that uses magnets to... Why did I say magnets like that? That uses magnets to levitate this other magnet disc. That I'll build the diorama on. This thing was like 60 bucks, so not cheap, but I'm going to make the disc removable so I can make interchangeable dioramas for it. First got the idea off a YouTube video where, you'll never guess, they use magnets to float another magnet. And for the first 30 seconds of the video, I was like, oh, maybe I can make this. And then after I realized it looked way too hard. And that's when I turned to Amazon to fulfill my wildest dreams. And they were like, yeah, we got that.
I can answer that for money.
Okay, I'll stop yapping about how I can't build floaty magnet thingies, and we'll get into how I made the diorama. I started by stacking and gluing some XPS foam, then busted out my utility knife and started carving away. It's pretty simple. I just imagined a sick floating island, then carved it nothing like what I was imagining, because I'm not very good at carving stuff. After I got the rough shape of the island, I'm going to cut some horizontal and vertical lines, then use my tweezers to pick out at it till I get a nice rock-like texture. Now I'll bust out some nice goop to fill the gap lines in the foam layers. I found this goop on Studson Studios channel, aka the Goop Master, aka Goopy Gooperson, aka Goop Daddy, aka Gooper Ghoul. I'll also use the goop to make these flat bits of land not so flat. Before I start painting, I'll prime the whole thing black, then move on to painting the rocks. For that, I'll start with the tan craft paint over the entire model. Then, while it's wet, I'll hit it with the second layer just to get full coverage. I'll let that dry, then randomly splotch on golden brown, medium gray, and a frosty gray by Craftsmart to add a little color variation to the rocks. Then, once all those colors are in place, I'll wet blend them together so they look like they flow into each other. After, I'll follow up with a dry brushing of suede and a dry brushing of a pure white. Lastly, for the painting of the rocks, I'm going to fully cover this build with a black wash, then splotch on a brown wash for a little extra depth of color. Okay, now I want the cave to look never ending, so I'm going to try something I've never tried before, and that's to use black 4.0 to give that never ending look. And I gotta say, it worked insanely well. Next up, I'll make the trees. I'll start by making a rough shape of a tree with some sticks I found outside. Just glue down a trunk and randomly glue smaller sticks around it for the branches. Then, for the outermost branches, I glue on some spring foam moss. And lastly, I'm going to use these shrubs by AK Interactive for the leaves of the trees. This step is easy, just time consuming. I'll glue them on until all the spring foam moss is covered. You know what? Actually, I lied. This is the last step for the trees. I'll just use some sharp scissors to trim off the leaves and cut anything off that I don't like. I want to give a bit more depth, so I'm going to add some water with this AK Interactive's puddle effects. I'll start by filling this hole. Then I'll move up top to fill the valley, letting it run down the rocks back down to the bottom. Lastly, I'll use a paintbrush to feather the water into the rocks. Now my favorite part of any build, let's add some life with these grass tufts and flower tufts. I use a bunch of colors and sizes to give a nice variation. Lastly, I'll cut out a hole for the magnetic disc, then we'll paint the sides black. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who watched the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Now let's roll the beauties. Peace.